Today we're going to go to Dulce, New Mexico, for a very unusual story. Dulce is home of a significantly unusual, and I accent the unusual, because it's rumored that there was a conflict between aliens and members of the United States military. Now supposedly there is an underground base in Dulce, and this is basically aligned with what you may have heard of the New World Order, which is very close to taking over right now. Anyway, according to much of history, many different people, the aliens had come into our country many, many years ago. And like with people, some are good and some are bad. Supposedly our government and representatives of the New World Order at the same time have been trying to get an alliance going with these extraterrestrials. And of course, as things go, they can go either very good or very bad. Now, unfortunately, this was supposed to have gone very bad. Now, there was evidence which was linked after some of this information had come out underground of cattle mutilations in the area. There's many things out there, different energy grids, strange things happening underground. Some of the townsfolk weren't really receptive to outsiders. There were people involved in abductions and missing times where supposedly UFOs had abducted people. And science also heard strange sounds and movements like coming from beneath the earth underground. Now basically Dulce is a small southwestern town, which as I recall Dulce means sweet in Spanish. Now supposedly this little town was topping off an underground facility, and in this facility was various experiments and technologies being worked on that would definitely send shivers down most people's spines if they knew exactly what was going on. Now, supposedly this subterranean base was at least 7 or 8 stories, and in this there were human-animal hybrids, human-alien hybrids, and many people call Dulce the Roswell of northern New Mexico. Now, believe it or not, the first claims of things going on underground back there were in the 1930s. And then in the 1970s, state police trooper documented unexplained cattle mutilations in the area. And apparently there was also evidence that was collected in the area of the cattle mutilations. It's been noted that predators do not leave gas masks or glow sticks or something they said was radar chaff. Supposedly in the area there was also some sightings of a rather strange black silent spacecraft. Something in the air was black, silent, moving rather wildly. Supposedly they found a dead cow with a fetus inside, but the fetus inside was not a calf fetus. It looked, according to their description, like a human or a monkey, and perhaps mixed with a frog. They claim it didn't have any bones in the head. It was rather puffed up with water, and they were reasoning that these cows were perhaps used as incubation machines for these aliens. They would implant in the cows, wait till the fetus, or whatever you would call it, grows, and then they come back and they perform these operations and mutilate the cows and take out whatever particular type of being that they had growing inside it. They also had rather good witnesses, police officers, that had seen a UFO in the 1990s. It lit up the valley as it was flying around, and then it just disappeared into the rocks. Did not crash and burn, it just disappeared into the rocks. Now, supposedly, the FBI was asked to investigate this kind of stuff, but they weren't quite able to do so, they said, because of lack of jurisdiction. Now, supposedly, whistleblowers, etc., come out and saying that the underground base was constructed in 1979, and supposedly there was a battle in there that left at least 60 humans dead, and things are rather still tenuous underground, despite all of our efforts. Again, some element of our society are trying to work with them, some of the New World Order trying to work with them, but you have a mix of, again, like I said, you're going to get some good and some bad. Some of the aliens here to share what they can to help us, and some are not here for anything good at all. Began getting electronic signals near Dulce. Now, this was not the kind of message that a town this small would be receiving. He thought, however, that these signals were actually coming from underground and going towards some kind of a target up in the sky. Now, supposedly there were Greys in Dulce, and they were conducting rather strange, bizarre medical experiments on mankind. both live humans and using samples of DNA. Now, they theorized that the Greys could absorb human and cow blood for sustenance. A gentleman that came out with this story in the 1990s supposedly killed himself with a catheter cord. Now, this supposedly was a suicide that basically looked like foul play. Now, supposedly the first engineers that came out to Dulce, they began drilling holes into the ground, which would be normal, but they found a foul smell, something like burning garbage, acetic, that emerged from these holes. And one day, one of these engineers came face to face with a very strange, rather frightening, 7-foot tall, rather pungent, stinky gray alien. Now, supposedly this engineer was not happy to see this alien, so he took his pistol out and started shooting. He shot some of the aliens, and then one of the aliens shot back some kind of a laser blast, and it blew off some of his fingers. One of the other men in the area got in the way and sacrificed himself to save this individual. Apparently, this was the start of a battle that killed up to 60 humans. Now, the aliens were shooting some kind of blue radiant power. It's a strange thing, but very volatile, very nasty. The special forces and the battle continued, and finally the aliens decided they would retreat a little deeper into their complex. Now, it's rumored that there is a complex of these bases inside the United States. They're interlinked, and they're supposedly in the area of at least 100 of these things, costing perhaps billions of dollars. Now, this ties in with things that I had heard of during some of the last wildfires in late 2000, 2016, 17, 18, in that area, that there was supposedly a base that was destroyed in the wildfires and perhaps was the reason that some of these wildfires were set out there. It is very possible there is a base or bases within the United States, and that negotiations with the aliens could be anywhere from fair to not so good. If you've heard anything about Dulce, let us know. Please like, subscribe, feel free to share with like-minded friends, and feel free to leave a comment. Don't forget, ring that bell down there so you'll know when I release the next video. Thanks very much. Take care.